After posting that she wasn't going to arrive to her deposition until 10 o'clock or after, when it was scheduled for 8:30, LIEnette does arrive and then storms out before the deposition is even ended, with her own counsel going, "She left?" Which meant that my counsel had to suspend or end the deposition at 11 a.m. Prior to the deposition, just days before, I stated I was going to be going to Florida for the deposition. And then that very night, LIEnette publicly stated in a live chat that she was not coming to the deposition at its scheduled time at 8:30. Interesting, as a federal judge in her bankruptcy case. Remember, all of this is because this is what she initiated. She wanted this. She did this, even though John Cook publicly thanked Deuce, you know, that big nose law, LOLyer, for this genius idea, because the federal judge wasn't listening. In all reality, it was Deuce that has pushed LIEnette into bankruptcy, and the antis that have placed her in this position, raising money for her fraudulently and never giving it to her. This is going to get good. So I did have plans to fly down to Florida for the full deposition, and once LIEnette posted that she wasn't even going to be there till after 10 o'clock, she was yet again going to defy the judge's order. She already owes me all legal fees, sanctions as well, for dodging the first deposition in this bankruptcy filing. I went, you know what? I'm not going to waste time, which is more precious than money that I could have wasted as well flying down there. Not to mention, it's scorching hot. Who wants to fly for a deposition down to Florida for somebody who's potentially not going to show anyway in this type of heat? You know, Floridians are even complaining in their garage studios. It's so hot, it's so hot. Oh, I wonder why Jeremy wasn't there. Jeremy wasn't there because it's not the most important thing in his life by any stretch, not even by a long shot. So why would I want to go to 110, 115 degrees heat indexed, high humidity with freaks and fools and felons all around? Riddle me that. So once LIEnette posted that, I let my lawyer know I'm not going to fly down, even though I already had plans to fly down. I went, there's no point. And I'm very glad that I did not fly to be there in person for the deposition, because again, it would have been a waste of time and money. And frankly, if I would have been there, she would have been screaming even more. And all the stupid things that come out of that putrid, horrific, toothless mouth, right? Okay. So how does everything set up for this deposition? Well, the deposition is court ordered by the federal judge. LIEnette is told she will be there in person. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. And if she didn't show, she was going to be liable for more fees, which now she ran out of the deposition. Oh, wait, hold a second. Oh, I'm not sure I can say ran. I'm not sure. Oh, no. Walked. Skipped. Hopped. She left the deposition, meaning that the deposition had to be canceled. It had to be stopped because the participant that's court ordered to be there left. But how did we get to that point? Well, the morning started with Randy Shockett, my lawyer, going into the courthouse and noticing that LIEnette and CROOK and the child are parked in front of the courthouse doors. Now, if George and I would have been there, this would have been a significant issue by far. But since we are not there and on Zoom instead, shocked that she even showed up at 8:30, which, great, she did. No skin off my back. I didn't waste any time, didn't waste any money. And Randy goes into the deposition room. Now, keeping in mind that CROOK has already stated that publicly online again, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be in that deposition. No, he was never in the deposition. That's completely and totally illegal. He was never, let me be very clear, he was never, ever in the deposition. So I think the main issue, which started immediately, was that LIEnette has a 6-year-old, almost 7-year-old, will be 7 in November, Harley Grace, who is still in diapers. This child has no ailment from keeping her from being potty trained, except the ailment is LIEnette and CROOK. That's the only ailment. Pathetic. Sad. Heartbreaking. She has the inability to break down some proteins, which is managed by diet. And yet, LIEnette and CROOK are still going through Burger King drive-thrus, getting her, in their own words, Impossible Burgers, which has more protein. Ice cream cones, tremendous amount of protein. I mean, I've already posted this all in the past, all the grams of protein in all of these different areas where they've been seen. And by the way, them being seen, not a problem. Anybody can be a private investigator. Anybody can be a journalist. So we have this whole issue of we have a child next door, and LIEnette is going to utilize this as an excuse to have constant interruptions, to constantly stop the flow of a deposition, which you must understand there is a flow of a deposition. Every question that's being asked, the answer is already known. The proof is already there. The evidence is in our hands. It's right there, right? Got it all. So it's going to be constant interruptions of, I've journeyed through the roof. My child fell down. The only positive thing about the child and CROOK being in the actual courthouse, never, ever being allowed in the actual deposition room, is that child isn't stuck with a Neanderthal missing link vaping in a vehicle for 8 hours. Oh, yeah. Hold a second. Wait. Remember, they don't even know where their next meal is coming from. But LIEnette publicly posts that CROOK brought her a brand new outfit for the deposition. Oh my goodness. They're finally dressing up. Now, I have no idea what she was wearing. No clue. All I know is what she's publicly posted, that she had a brand new outfit. It was a gift from John CROOK. Here's the thing. This moron, yet again, just told the world, including the federal bankruptcy court, that she now has more gifts coming in. You realize any gifts that have been given to her, that has to be itemized, including clothing. Remember, she put in her bankruptcy filing, she only owned like 1 or 2 rings, even though in every hearing her hands were just filled with them, right? Gaudy junk. So now she has publicly stated that she got a gift from CROOK. Any gifts within the past 2 years, from my understanding of the law, must be claimed in the bankruptcy filing. What an idiot. Goes out and tells the world more stuff that she hasn't claimed that now we will have for bankruptcy court. She is going to trial. By the way, this deposition is for trial. If you're going, wait, what was this deposition for in the first place? This deposition is about her claiming she has a homestead in Florida. Your homestead, if that's your residency in Florida, you can get a tax break. You pay less taxes. It's not that way in Ohio. It's not that way in a lot of places. But in Florida, it is. Except to have a homestead, which they illegally are claiming a homestead right now in Levy County because they have no home. To have a home, you must actually have a structure that is livable and legal with an occupancy permit. They have neither. A shed doesn't count as a livable and a legal structure, and there is no occupancy permit. Oh, a camper does not constitute a legal or livable structure with an occupancy permit. As a matter of fact, they're breaking the law right now in Levy County. You're only allowed to have that camper on site for so long while you're building, which they claim they're still building, yet they have no permits for any build. Yeah, that's going to go well. What about that tent that CROOK lives in? Yeah, that's not going to work either. No, these aren't livable and legal. And there's certainly no occupancy permit. Now, to get to that place, you have to lay the foundation for the deposition and the questioning, which this will all be then shown in trial. There is a trial already scheduled for this. Now, the trustee who functions on behalf of the federal government has already stated that they agree 100% there is no homestead on the property and they are ready to seize the property. As a matter of fact, they've already offered me the property multiple times. Thus far, I've turned everything down. Why would anybody want to own that HE double hockey stick? Oh, no, wait, I mean a shell hole. It's a shell hole. Why would anybody want to own that shell hole? You know, it's a shell thing over there. Why would anybody want that? Nobody does. LIEnette comes into the deposition room, which is right next to the other room where Harley, Grace, and Crook are. Now, you understand it's not an issue that Crook and Harley are in a courthouse. Children can come into a courthouse. Children should not be pushed, should not be introduced to these kinds of things, which obviously they have said all of this stuff around this child, unfortunately, and despicably. That's a word, just made it up. And they obviously cannot be in the deposition. Nobody can be in that deposition except for legal counsel and the parties. So in other words, Randy Shockett, who is my counsel, co-counsel with Dennis Levine. Dennis is not there. And then you have Saran Wrap, who is there on Zoom. No, he did not come in purpose. Why would he? They have never paid him anywhere near for the amount of work that he's had to do and the amount of headaches that LIEnette has given him. Oh, I'm sure Deuce promised him the world. And he's finding out real quick he's about to lose the world. Just like Deuce is. Deuce is scrambling like crazy right now. He's in so much trouble. So, myself, George, Randy, Saran Wrap, Kevin, the attorney on behalf of the trustee, is also there. And those are the legal parties. LIEnette, she's allowed to be in there. From the get-go, I get a faulty Zoom link, unfortunately. So my link isn't working. I get a new link. Saran Wrap gets a new link. Kevin gets a new link. We all get a new link, and we're all there. We're all on Zoom. I'm shocked in the beginning that Randy says, she's here. I went, oh, okay. I said, well, maybe I should have flown down, but I'm still glad I didn't because it still would have been a waste of time and money. What I hear is shoveling and maybe shoveling is the wrong word. What I hear is commotion, shuffling commotion in the background. And there is a deputy who is talking to Randy. I get on and Randy goes, oh, Jeremy, oh, she's here. I'm like, okay. And he goes, just hold a second. And there's a deputy in there. And the deputy, he says, Randy says to the deputy and to Saran Wrap, she's already interrupting. She's already leaving and going to talk to the child. We're not doing this. This is not going to be a constant interruption. We are not doing anything like we've done before with the deposition. And I'm going, oh my goodness, here we go. I'm already listening to this in the background, right? And I hear a deputy come in and I recognize the voice. It's Rex. He's bailiff for Judge Grudge, for Grobe. He's the main guy there at the courthouse. I recognize his voice. And I've seen him many times. If you could see his face when LIEnette speaks, you would understand what's going on in my mind right now. And I hear Rex, and he comes in, and he goes, all right, everything's going to be cool, right? We're all going to be cordial. Now, you understand he's talking to LIEnette and Randy. Now, from what I've heard by the antis, LIEnette claims she went to go get 2 deputies. Well, I only heard 1. I did not see 2. I did not hear 2. I heard 1. I heard Rex. That was it. And Rex came in to solidify or to settle LIEnette, not Randy. And Randy goes, oh, yeah. He goes, Randy goes to Rex. Randy goes to Rex and goes, we are not having a child coming in here and taking breaks. And this, we are not going to have noises. We're not going to have screaming. We're not going to be doing these potty breaks every 68 seconds. And Rex goes, okay, so you got it all resolved? You got a result? And Randy goes, yeah, we got a result. I'm on the phone with her lawyer right now, Jerome. And then Randy goes, okay, Jerome, go ahead. And they're talking. And so Randy goes, Jerome, this is not going to work. Jerome is saran wrap. This is not going to work. And he goes, I'm going to the judge right now. We're not doing this. She just came in the room. She's already excusing herself, saying she has to go take care of the baby. When we are to be starting this, we're already late. I'm going straight to the judge. And I'm sitting here on the other side going, well, this is why I didn't fly down there in the first place. Because when I told Randy, I was like, well, if she comes late, you're going to go to the judge at 8:30. You're going to go to the judge. I'll be there. You're going to be there. We're going to go to the judge. We're going to get, we're going to get orders and bench warrant. And what's the point of me even flying down? You don't need me there for that. So I didn't. So Randy says to Saran Wrap, we are not going to have this child 6 feet away in the next room with all these interruptions. And you have to understand that the issue isn't the child. This is probably the safest place for her with Crook. As a matter of fact, LIEnette then comes in and you hear LIEnette starting to talk about Crook. And she goes, so Randy says to Saran Wrap, we are not doing this. There's absolutely no reason. He says there is no reason to have a child 6 foot away in the room next door with a deposition. And LIEnette goes, yes, there is. She has epilepsy and can't have anyone else administer her emergency medication into her. She goes on about her back and butt where it meets into her thing. Room B something. It is not her normal thing in the front. And Randy goes, we are not doing this again. And then LIEnette, and what I hear next just blows my mind. She starts talking about Crook being an actual busser. All right, put the S on the first word and then figure out the enunciation of a busser. YouTube doesn't like certain words. These are words that are very, very volatile, and I'm not going to say them. But she starts talking about Crook that way. And she says, my ex-husband of actual abusser. And she says it twice. My ex-husband of sexual abusser. It's not happening. And Randy goes, I'm not talking to you, ma'am. You have a lawyer here. And then Saran Wrap goes, Michelle, please do not speak. We haven't even started yet. This is how it's going. She's throwing Crook under the bus, saying that he's an actual abusser. And that's why she has to be right there for the child, because she has epilepsy. Where do all of these ailments and illnesses come from? I mean, every month it's something new, isn't it? Every month. It's an emergency for Crook. Now she has to pay for that. It's an emergency for the child now because Crook is an actual busser. Now she's going to have to pay for this as well. I get it. She has no money. You're not going to get blood from a stone. It's not the point. The point isn't from getting blood from the stone. The point is getting them out of our lives. Hope you understand that. It's the principle. It's not a payday. Now, any money that she gets from everything seized, obviously, portion of that is coming back to me. So anything that I spend will be coming back, but it's a very minute portion. It does not pay for anything. And it definitely doesn't pay for all the turmoil and the shell we've been put through, right? Okay. So Jerome and Randy, Saran Wrap and Randy, they're talking, and he goes, listen, Saran Wrap goes, let me just talk to her. He goes, are you opposed to the child being in the courthouse? And Randy goes, no, that's not the issue. The issue has never been the child being there. The issue is the constant interruptions and the excuses, because if the child is there, then LIEnette's going to run out. You can't do that. This is an official, legal hearing. She is to be of decorum as if she's in front of the judge right now. You think they're going to let that 6-year-old inside the courthouse for the hearing? Seriously. There is going to be a hearing in Tallahassee, I believe it is. There is going to be a hearing on this. This is the deposition before the hearing. You think they're going to let that child in there? And what parent in their right mind would ever let a child in these situations and circumstances in the first place? Remember, she had a beautiful home in Northport, but she came to move to a dump, for the health of her child, which isn't hers. Isn't it amazing that this child seems to have no real health issues living in a dump? Could you imagine how healthy she would be in Northport in a beautifully remodeled home? Near family, actual real family. At this point in time, Saran Wrap is back on Zoom and is talking with Randy. And he goes, okay, I think I got it all sorted out with her. I told her no interruptions. They can't come to the door. You're okay with them being next door. But there's to be no interruptions, not a single one. And we're all happy. That's the point. Deposition, no interruptions. You don't get to do whatever you want to do. You're under the control and the authority of the court. So Saran Wrap comes back on and says, I got it all figured out with her. Everything's going to be okay. And he goes, but we have to take a break at 11 today anyway, right? And Randy goes, no. Now, you may be thinking, hold a second. Why would we take a break at 11? Well, there was a scheduled status hearing for bankruptcy. And so Jerome thought that there was going to be a status hearing in bankruptcy today at 11 o'clock, which was canceled quite a while ago. You want to know why it was canceled? Saran Wrap didn't file his paperwork. Shocking. I know. So Saran Wrap gets the 11 o'clock status hearing canceled for not doing the proper paperwork, which, again, we could blame that on LIEnette as well, because he can't do the paperwork without LIEnette giving the information. And Randy goes, no. We are not stopping at 11. That's all been canceled. We move forward no matter what. This is all day till 5 o'clock. He goes, we'll take bathroom breaks when people need to take bathrooms, but not when a 6-year-old next door needs to take a bathroom, when we, those in attendance, need to take a bathroom. This child should not be involved in any of this. She could be wherever she wants as long as it's legal. Again, probably the safest place for her, inside that courthouse with deputies around, because Neanderthal missing link crook is there, and LIEnette. This is probably the safest place for her. Probably the temperature-wise safest place for her, and everything else. Again, the issue of her being in the courthouse is not an issue. The issue of the constant interruptions that will happen are the issue, as everybody has seen in the past. The child has been in the camper during depositions when nobody is to be in any room whatsoever. Legally, people can't even hear what's being said in the deposition. So if Crook's got his ear up to the wall, that'd be illegal. Saran Wrap goes, are you sure? Randy goes, absolutely. I'll pull the email up right now. This is all canceled. We are not stopping at 11. And Saran Wrap is so confused. And I'm sitting there going, this is the lawyer that they paid. Wait. This is the lawyer they didn't pay. This is the lawyer that Deuce and Fleesa scammed their viewers out of over $6,000, claiming that they were going to hire one lawyer that was going to be the savior for all the cases, Ohio, Florida, federal. She is now losing everything. Everything in her life. Not half of the property. The trustees already offered me the property. The entirety of the property. Nobody wants that. All right. So Randy and Jerome go back and forth about this 11 o'clock status hearing in bankruptcy, and Jerome finally goes, oh, here it is. Yeah, it is canceled. It's canceled. And I'm going, I cannot believe this. I literally cannot believe this. LIEnette, Crook, didn't even pay for this lawyer. People got frauded to pay for this lawyer, and this lawyer doesn't even have a clue what's going on for his client this day, which I can understand completely, because remember, they only gave him $6,000. He probably burned through that within the first week, and he had no idea what he was getting involved in with LIEnette, with Crook, with Deuce, with all these idiots. Probably constant badgering by Fleesa. Protect me, my name better not come up. I'm more of a creditor than Jeremy Hales. Okay, let's see. LIEnette owes me money in Ohio. Ohio legal cases, lawyer fees. LIEnette owes me money in Florida. Yeah, thumbnail case, frivolous case, owes me all legal lawyer fees. LIEnette owes me money now in the federal bankruptcy court. She dodged her deposition. But yeah. Yeah, that fat toothless flea. She's more of a creditor than me, huh? There is no stopping at 11 o'clock. Now that it's agreed upon what is okay and what isn't okay with the child in the courthouse, Randy states to Saran Wrap that this is a major concern with them being next door because during any bathroom break, she's going to talk to Crook, and Crook is going to be on the phone with Fleesa, and things are going to be posted online, and that is illegal. By the way, if LIEnette goes talks to Crook, Crook talks to Fleesa, Fleesa posts online, who gets charged for it? Not Fleesa, not Crook, LIEnette. And we're at the point where they're looking at some serious, serious problems and serious consequences. You're looking at jail time, which we've already seen old Vomit do to somebody as well, right? All right, this stuff, I suppose it's crazy. All right, so Kevin is in there, the attorney for the trustee as well. There's some communication between Kevin and Randy and myself, and Jerome Saran Wrap is in there as well, talking about the last offer that was for the property, and oh, maybe we'll revisit it. And nobody wants to turn purgatory. Nobody. That place should be burned and condemned. Oh wait, it already was condemned. That comes up in the deposition. All right. So basically, in a nutshell, there's all that communication, and we start to get things back on track. And Randy says to Saran Wrap, listen, and Kevin and myself, we're going to get on the record in about 10 minutes here. And she's already bought herself 24 minutes of time. Now, you understand legally, you're only allowed to depose in a single day for so many hours. This is the first delay of what was intended to be very many, no doubt whatsoever. And so this has already killed 24 minutes at this point in time in the deposition, as Randy literally says she's already killed 24 minutes. Randy goes on to tell myself and the other lawyers there that all the exhibits are going to be digital, and he's emailing them right now as we're waiting for LIEnette to come back into the actual deposition room. So everything is going out, and this is going to be an audio only. And I know some of you right now, you're thinking, no, Jeremy, why didn't you buy the video? It's not worth it. These people have cost me so much money already. What's the point, right? What's the point? What's valuable is getting them out of our lives, not getting the actual video. Now, there is an audio recording. Can somebody say puppet show, or should we say Muppet show? We'll see what happens, okay? So all of the exhibits are emailed to everybody who's in. That's the attorneys and myself. And LIEnette is going to be given them, in front of her face. Boom, here it is. Not that she's going to actually look at them. And that became a major problem during the deposition, is she wouldn't even make eye contact. She wouldn't even look at exhibits. We will get to that, though. So once LIEnette actually comes back into the room, we go on the record, and Randy says, okay, this has already been a 30-minute delay, right? That's been caused by your statements to LIEnette. And Randy goes, let me lay the law of what's going to happen here. Randy says, here's what's going to happen. The exact opposite of what happened in your last deposition. Unfortunately, it was pretty much like the last deposition, except shorter. She ran. She left. Whether you want to call it running, walking. Remember, she has no spine. So I don't know how she even walks, let alone runs, or picks up 2 gallons of milk. Yet she can chuck toolboxes full of heavy metal steel tools like nobody's business, probably further than I could. Randy says the exact opposite of what happened last time. That's what's going to happen today. You are not going to interrupt me at all. We are not doing any interruptions for your child. When I ask a question, you wait. You wait until the question is complete. then you answer. Once the question's been asked, you pause, you answer when it's done. Is that clear? LIEnette's on a roll. She goes, very clear, sir. Okay. Randy literally tells her, that's a good example. That was really good. Positive reinforcement, right? That's exactly what you're to do. Listen, wait, then answer. All right. Randy then goes on to say, there's a couple things that your attorney and I have actually agreed to today. And one of them is we are not repeating what happened last time. Everybody agrees. That ain't going to happen. There is going to be no more interruptions. There's going to be nothing with the child, nothing with Crook, nothing. This is a court-ordered, federal court-ordered deposition. Okay. And he goes on, there will be nothing with the child. There's going to be no child interruptions. And Randy specifically says, unless there is some blood or emergency, any interruptions by Crook or the child at this door, we are going straight to the judge. And we are asking for additional attorney fees. Now, she owes me tens of thousands of dollars. She owes me more money right now in legal and attorney fees than she could ever get for her property. Okay. And he goes, we're going to file sanctions against you, and especially because you have just been warned ahead of time. Is that clear? LIEnette was just asked a yes or no question, correct? Is that clear? Do you think LIEnette can give a yes or no answer? No. LIEnette goes, yeah, it's clear, but I didn't do anything when I came in here. I didn't do anything last time. Oh, boy. Randy goes on to say, number 2, we're very glad to accommodate your child and any needs she may have. To that being said, there will be no breaks for that child at any point in time. But if anybody in this Zoom meeting needs a break, whether it's a bathroom, all you got to do is say, hey, I need a break. That's it. As long as there's no pending question, then we can take a break. So let's say Randy asks a question, what's your name? By the way, that was one of the first questions, which there's 40 plus answers, aren't there? If she doesn't answer and there's a pending question, you can't just take a break in the middle of a pending question. It has to be answered. There's a stopping point. Okay, now we can take a bathroom break. But there's more to what was agreed upon. So he goes, the last thing we agreed upon, that when we take a break, you will have no communication with John Crook whatsoever. Is this clear? She goes, absolutely clear. Okay. So Randy goes, if we see anything online, anything posted online about depositions, claims, anything at all, we're immediately going to the judge. This is illegal. She will be held accountable. Now, you understand why this is being stated, because information has been passed and on to Fleesa, and Fleesa has posted this illegally in the past. All right? So this is on the record. This is all being said. Anything is posted. We have people watching. You are going to be immediately in front of the judge. And she goes, well, where is it in my notes? 1 second here. Okay. Oh, and Randy goes, she goes, I've never posted anything. I didn't put anything online. I never did it. Not me. Where do you think the information comes from? What a fool. And Randy goes on to say, that includes your attorney. You are not to discuss anything about the deposition with your attorney when we take a break. Okay? Is that clear? And she goes, I'm not allowed to talk to my attorney. He goes, no, not about a deposition. You're not allowed to talk to your attorney about your deposition. You can talk to your attorney about anything else on break, but you cannot talk to your attorney about a deposition. And she goes, you're making it sound like I can't speak to him at all. He goes, no, for the second time, I'm going to repeat it. When we take a break, and if you need, I'll have the court reporter read it back to you. You may not talk to your attorney about anything with the deposition. Good. Is that clear? And Randy goes, and he's here. He's listening right now. Which then Saran Wrap goes, Randy, can I speak on the record very briefly? And he goes, Michelle, which, by the way, her legal name is LIEnette. She actually admits that under oath. Her legal name is LIEnette Michelle. I forget her original name. She goes on to say that she became a Christian. We'll get to this later. And that's why she has so many names, and she added them and she changed them legally. No, her birth certificate. By the way, I saw this. Felisa said her birth certificate has all of her names on it. No, it doesn't. Her legal name is LIEnette Michelle. What her parents' name was. Under oath. Can we say we just debunked the stunk? Yeah, that thing stunk, all right. All right, so we go on. Is that clear? And Saran Wrap says, let me look through my notes here. Is that so he goes, I've spoken to Mr. Shockett regarding how this is all going to proceed. He goes, I would have put it in different words to you, but these are the rules of a deposition, what he laid out for you. You cannot speak to me about the deposition when we're on break. Saran Wrap goes on to explain to her, we can talk all about the deposition after the deposition. It is illegal to talk about the deposition during the deposition. Okay. While he's doing this, LIEnette is actually interrupting Saran Wrap. This is the onset of interruptions, and this happens throughout the entire limited time of this deposition, interrupting literally everybody. And Randy points out, you see what you just did there? You're actually interrupting your own counselor, your own attorney. Let people finish what they're saying. Okay. So the ground rules are set there, but Randy's got to set the actual deposition ground rules. He set the ground rules that he and Saran Wrap agreed to for LIEnette to be in this position that she's in this deposition without going to the judge, which Randy was immediately ready to go to the judge. We're sick and tired of this. This is not a game. And yet it's been made into a full-out circus. As a matter of fact, one point during this conversation in the beginning, Saran Wrap actually called her a circus. All right. Randy goes on to say, Miss Preston, you're under oath, as you were last time. And by the way, you need to face me. You need to face me. So Randy's going on and on. LIEnette won't even look at him. Okay? Won't even make eye contact. And Randy goes, you have to face me. He goes, the reason why we do this, we take depositions, we need to know if you're a credible witness. We need to know if you have a credible story or not. We need to know if you're telling the truth. And one of the ways we do that is we look at the nonverbals. We look at you while you give answers, which means you have to look at us. And she finally faces him. He says, thank you. Thank you. She looks at him, makes eye contact, right? He goes, I'm going to be asking a series of questions. I've heard him do this so many times through all these cases that I think I have it memorized at this point. His spiel before a deposition. I'm going to be asking you a series of questions, and you're going to be answering these all under oath. Do you understand that this is a court record? She says, yes. She might have said, yes, sir. She kept saying, yes, sir. I was like, I may never march in the infantry shoot. Okay. But I'm in the Lord's army. Yes, sir. Some of you remember that song, right? And that's what LIEnette was starting to shoot. But it was very, very snide. Very, very, very. Yes, sir. That's what she's doing, okay? And Randy goes, you have an attorney with you this time, which is very different than last time. She goes, yeah. And Randy goes, even though you're not in a courtroom, we're not in a federal court, we're in a state court right now in Levy County. These deposition answers, these are subject to the same penalties of the law and perjury as if we were in the courtroom. Keep in mind, this deposition is a court proceeding. All the same rules apply. All the same consequences. All the same penalties. Do you understand that? Yes, LIEnette Snuggly, yes, with no teeth though. All right, do you understand that your testimony is going to be recorded by a court reporter today? Yes! And do you understand that your testimony, while you give it and while I ask questions, if you have any hesitation, if something I asked is unclear to you, just wait until, this is extremely important, just wait until the question is finished. And if it's unclear, ask me to clarify the question. Don't guess at its meaning. All we want is the truth. Randy says this every single time. We're all here for the same thing. We all just want the truth. Boy, did LIEnette's mom name her the right name. It all began with the lie. Okay. You also understand that if I ask a yes or no question, all you need to do is answer with a yes or no. And nodding your head or shaking this way or the other thing, that doesn't work. There's a court reporter. The court reporter has to hear your verbal answer. The court reporter has to take down your actual words for the transcripts, which the transcripts are already on order. And he goes, and I'm recording your answers as well. Now, he's doing it the same way I was doing it, with pen and paper. And the insanity up to this point already, I mean, we are 45 minutes to an hour already deep into this deposition and just finally getting started based on what LIEnette has done. By the way, LIEnette told Saran Wrap, and Saran Wrap stated this in the beginning, that Crook and the child were going to be outside in the truck, the Jeep Gladiator, that she's not going to own for very long. Not much longer at all. Saran Wrap literally stated that they were supposed to be outside, not inside. I'm glad the child was inside, protected, in the right temperature, with the right people to protect her, especially after LIEnette said what she said about Crook, her ex-husband, the actual abuser. So Randy goes on to say, this is standard as well. Ms. Preston, are you on any medications? Do you have any medical issues that would affect your recollection or how you actually answer these questions today? Would it affect your ability to recall events, to concentrate during the deposition? And you know what her answer is? No. You understand from the get-go, LIEnette tells Randy she has no medical issues. She is not on any medications that would affect her ability to recall anything. And yet, a mere 30 minutes later, she tells Randy she has PTSD from when she was a child and her brain doesn't work to recall anything. So she was already asked this question. She says, nope, there's no issues whatsoever. 30 minutes later, now all of a sudden she has a medical issue since the age of a child, like 6, 7, PTSD. Can't recall anything. And then 30 minutes after that, she goes on about, I remember everything about an hour-long conversation with the Levy County engineer about turd purgatory. And this is just the beginning. The first lie is already on the record.